All right, folks, give me 30 seconds. Yes! Yes! It's Friday! Ooh, man. Ooh, boy. Man, it is Friday. James, I'm ready. I'm jacked up. I am ready. Oh, man. I have a special treat this week, and I'm getting my phone ready. What I did is, for those of you who don't know, I live in a place called Overland Park, Kansas. I would just call it Kansas City. And basically what it is that the state of Kansas just legalized sports gambling. It's still in the works and everything. So I went ahead. I really like it, man. I really like it. I'm very proud of that. I'm glad James is here, man. So what I did is I went to dude, Barney, that theme song, the Barney Miller theme song was cool, man. The Barney, I like. I was humming Rockford Files, that the theme song to Rockford Files, but I'm super jacked up. Got an energy drink here, and I have water. All my sports betting this year, I'm not going to Vegas. I'm going to go to Iowa. So what I did is this week I stayed at Council Bluffs, Iowa, and I downloaded the Barstool app. So you have two different sources I can use for sports betting. I can use Caesars or I can use Barstool. And it's important. Oh yeah, that baseline for Barney Miller is freaking awesome. I seriously, I thought about stealing it. I think the glasses are crooked, but I thought about stealing it. I love that Barney Miller baseline, man. That is just freaking awesome. So when I do sports betting, I can use either Barstool or I can use Caesars. Now, why that's important is because if you're a Detroit Lions fan, Barstool has the over-under at 6.5 wins. Caesars has it at 6, and I always recommend use as many sources as you possibly can. So this year when I do sports betting, I'm going to go to Iowa. I'm either going to use Caesars or I'm going to use Barstool, depending on which one is best. I haven't made all my bets yet, but right now Barstool is offering MVP bets where Caesars isn't as of yet. But Caesars has some really interesting bets. They have a rookie rushing, which only Breece Hall is available. They have rookie wide receiver over-unders, and they also have rookie sacks. Trayvon Walker is 5.5. I think Aiden Hutchinson, for you Lions fans, I think the over-under is 7.5 sacks. It's kind of interesting because all of them listed currently, Trayvon Walker's the lowest, and he's the number 1 pick in the draft. So what I thought would be kind of interesting is looking at some of these MVP numbers, because MVP is kind of a big deal. And I went through and I have the MVP list here in front of me. Now, it doesn't say which one, but you have the AP and you have the Pro Football. It's PFWA. I think it's Pro Football Writers Association. So yeah, Pro Football Writers of America. I'm sorry. But I think they're using the AP. Now, almost every year it's been the same. The last time there was a difference was in 2003, where Peyton Manning, Steve McNair shared the AP MVP, and then the Pro Football Writers of America gave it to Jamal Lewis. He had the 2,000-yard season. Every season since 2003, it's been the same. And a quarterback has won every year since 2012. 2012, Adrian Peterson had that had that really, really good season, came back from the surgery, and he was the last non-quarterback. It's driving me nuts. My glasses are completely crooked. I have no idea how that happened, but so more than likely it's going to be a quarterback. The last 2 years, of course, it was Aaron Rodgers, 2019 Lamar Jackson, 2018 Mahomes, 2017 Brady. I can go on and give you the whole list, but right now I'm going to give you what is available with Barstool, and I'm going to give you some dark horse candidates. So this is let's say you got an extra 20, 30, 50 bucks, maybe $100, and you just want a dark horse for an MVP candidate. I'm going to give you some of the top dark horse MVP candidates today. Yeah, that defensive line is going to be good. You know, I seriously, hold on here. I want to tell you it'll take me a second. With Aiden Hutchinson, I actually really like the number. I think it was 7.5. Give me 1 second. I don't have it written down because I was just going to talk MVP, but I'm all jacked up on energy drinks. It's not cocaine. It's just energy drinks. But I'll be honest, man, this Aiden Hutchinson bet is pretty neat. By the way, I'm going to do a video here in the next couple of days, and I'm going to break down 101 bets on how to use both the Barstool and the Caesars app. Let me see. Aiden Hutchinson, the over-under sack total is 7.5. Over is -120. Under is +100. I'll be honest, I like over 7.5. Thibodeau's 8.5. Trayvon Walker's 5.5. And Jermaine Johnson's 4.5. I actually really like a couple of these bets here. And that's on Caesars. So we're actually going to bring that up. I actually have that number. Alex, I have that number, by the way. Welcome, man. Texans Super Bowl with Davis Mills, MVP season on the way. That's a dark horse. That's one I got listed, man. I'm glad you're here, brother. Funk! Hell yeah, man. What's good, man? I did some traveling. I went to Denver. Denver Gator told me he'd rather punch me in the face and hang out because he didn't like my draft video. He's the only one who disagreed with any of my videos. So, chugging an energy drink. It will be Burrow this year, just the feeling. I don't have that number listed. I can look that up, though, if you want. Stevie, what's up, brother? For new people watching tonight, it's powdered coffee creamer on. Stevie, I'm glad you're here, brother, man. I'm glad you're here. Word around is Deshaun Watson will be suspended 6 to 8 weeks for the Leeds office dismay. For those of you who haven't heard, and I mean, I guess he was under oath. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it sounds a lot worse than it is, because what it is, he apologized after the masseuse touched his penis, and I think it sounds a lot worse than what it is because he apologized for it. He offered, the leave or what have you, but I think it sounds a lot worse than what it is. But because he did verify that there was some sort of sexual type activity, which I'll be honest is kind of up in the air. I think he is going to get suspended. And I really thought that Baker Mayfield would be on the way out, but now I'm thinking Baker Mayfield's going to stay this year. And then they just take a compensatory pick, which might make sense. So I could have it. Dude, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing, man, to be honest with you. I think 4.5. I'll be honest, the Breece Hall, I think the total's like 743. A bunch of receivers are listed. If you want to, I can go into detail. I have to log back in. It should just take me a second. But, yeah, I 100% agree, and that's probably something I'm going to put action on, to be honest with you. So, Slasher, what's up? You know what? If I am an Eagles fan, what a big signing Bradbury is. What a big signing. I'm going to adjust my camera here. what a big signing Bradbury is, because it puts Maddox in the slot and you give him some outside experience. Now you move him in the slot. Plus, in case Slay or Bradbury gets hurt, you get a guy who has starter experience. When I say starter experience, will be the starter in base nickel package. Philly, man, seriously, I think today, right now, I would pick Philly to win the East. I really would. I really like what they're doing, man. I really like what they're doing. Stevie says, I feel like it's a letdown if I join the chat and don't recover. It's always appreciated. It's always appreciated. I love getting the comments one way or another. I am very jacked up. I'm slamming an energy drink. All right. Seriously, I would pick my two winners is Philly, and I'll be honest with you, I really like the Patriots. It's a lot different when you're chasing and you're not the lead dog, but Buffalo being the lead dog, it's going to be a little different of a feel. You lost your offensive coordinator, you lost a couple of the receivers in free agency. You got Von Miller playing defensive end, and you got three run-heavy teams. And if I'm a team and I'm playing Buffalo, I'm directing every single running play towards Von Miller. All right. I mean, he was not. I hate saying this, but his strength isn't stopping the run, and that was at an outside linebacker position. Now you got him playing defensive end. I mean, you pay him that type of money. What are you going to do? Only use him on third down? So, yeah, I agree 100%. Seems like it might be. Steve, they still are. I love the Taurus talk. All right. So bottom line for MVP, ever since 2000, there's only been 4 non-quarterbacks. All of them played running back. Okay. However, I think wide receiver could be a possibility this year. And by the way, when I say dark horse, I'm eliminating the Barstool app has the top 4. Josh Allen's number 1 at plus 600. And plus 600 means a $100 bet win just 600. So it's 6-1 odds. Mahomes and Brady are next, 800, 8-1 odds. And then Aaron Rodgers is plus 1,000. The biggest dark horse that Barstool has is Jerry Jeudy at plus 100,000. So a $100 bet would win you $100,000 if Jerry Jeudy wins MVP. That's the darkest of the dark horses. I could be wrong, but I think Dable is going to hurt Allen more than others seem to think. Conversely, I like Dable and Wink. Seems like a solid coach. I agree 100%. I think losing Dable is going to hurt. I mean, a lot of people keep forgetting the first couple of years in the league, Josh Allen did not play well. Now, part of it is the Stephon Diggs. And I went ahead and I didn't like the move. And they would have got Justin Jefferson if they didn't trade for Diggs. And Justin Jefferson's a guy who's having a great couple of years. So, but bottom line, yeah, I think it is going to hurt. I really think it is going to hurt. I do like the Safford signing, but are they going to be more of a run balance team? Is James Cook going to be like Dalvin Cook? Because if he is, and they want to run the ball a lot more, and Josh Allen runs a lot less, then there could be some good things. But when you run the ball as much as Josh Allen's been running, I think it's a recipe for an injury. And he goes down. Let me ask you this here. I'm dead serious about this because I remember when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they had to play without Mahomes for a couple of weeks, and they beat Minnesota, a team that went to the playoffs that year, with a backup quarterback. Take Josh Allen away from Buffalo. What are they? Like he's gone for the whole season. 6, 7 wins. Something to think about. Oh, Denver Gator, what's up, brother? I think someone in the chat gave Dan a heads up when he was in Denver, hiding a ducking from my pursuit to get a better draft grade. This is a true story. Denver Gator said he'd rather punch me in the face than hang out. But I am going to visit Denver again. It was a great time. And I'm going to give you a heads up, too, next time. I'll meet before I go all the way through. So. With Stafford and Russell Wilson, you know what? I'll skip the order and I'll just answer your question. Because I do have both listed. Stafford and Russell Wilson are the same, exactly the same, plus 1,500. Plus 15, so 15-1. So I think a betting line should be set for Danger Russ for 1.5, how many votes he can get. Russell Wilson, seriously, the plus 1,500s, I don't really consider that a huge underdog or dark horse, but 1,500 is where both Stafford and Wilson are listed at. And I'll be honest, out of those two, I like Stafford to win MVP a lot more than Russell Wilson, because I think Denver, in order to be successful, has to be a heavy run team. I think they got to run the ball. And they're going to have that. They're going to have both running backs. They're going to have both running backs return, which I actually thought that they would lose. Oh, man, I'm having a brain freeze already. 15 minutes in the show, I had a name freeze. Who am I thinking of? Oh, Melvin Gordon. I thought they were going to lose him in free agency. He comes back for a year, so they got that double dip at running back. Denver, a lot of people don't realize that Denver has to be a heavy run team in order to win. Stafford, on the other hand, I think has to throw the ball a lot. I think they have to. I know that they like to run the ball, but I mean, Cooper Kupp had phenomenal numbers. But Allen Robinson, he's going to have to elevate his game quite a bit, and he's got the talent to do it. So I think out of those two quarterbacks, I like Stafford a lot more. Russell Wilson's had just very, very few MVP votes, but I like out of those two, I like Stafford a lot more. If they run the ball more, I think they're reading the tea leaves of what DCs are going to do with pass-happy offenses. I think Denver really needs to be a run-heavy team, and that's something that I think that's really being overlooked. A lot of people think Russell Wilson's going to go back and throw the ball like Rodgers. That's never been his game. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they have to be run-heavy. They really do. And Javonte Williams, he's that good. They need to be a run-heavy team. I really believe that. I really think that they have to be a run-heavy team. I know it's crazy, but yeah, they got to be a run-heavy team. You see Dan Campbell is flying up there as coach of the year, betting-wise. I'll be honest with you. I didn't. Let's take a look here. I don't think coach MVP is available for either one of these as of right now. So I don't, oops, sorry, hit the wrong button. All right. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. Let me see here. I don't think coach MVP is available for either one of these. And I apologize. I should have looked before I did the show, but I was just going to do MVP, but let me see if coaching MVP is available in the Caesars app. Future bets. Let's see. NFL futures, pro football winners. No, not on Caesars. And then Barstool, I just downloaded Barstool this week. And one thing I do like is that when you break down the team over unders, Barstool's in alphabetical order. Caesars has the weirdest order of, it's really bizarre. I have no idea how they're doing it. So let me see here with MVP. Okay. Don't care about the WNBA. Okay, here it is. All right. Futures, conference winners, division winners, season awards, okay, let's see. Season specials. They have like most rushing yards, and there's actually some really interesting bets here. Other events. Winning team have a 17-0 record. That's kind of cool. Season awards, MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player, offensive rookie, comeback player of the year. So they don't have it. So I don't have that. So Robinson, yeah. Allen Robinson with Stafford could be really, really good. Bradbury's great, man. I knew we had to do something at corner for the time being. Now we just need to sign Jesse Bates. Oh wow, Jesse Bates. That would be really good. Yeah, Hurts. Last year, Philly led the NFL in rushing offense. So if he has a similar type of year, he's going to run a lot. He is going to run a lot. Last year, Miles Sanders, I drew a blank for a second. Miles Sanders is also out, but if he plays a solid 17 or even 15 games, he's going to have a big year. There's some really good things in Philly. I probably today, and now in 2 months from now on the 18th, July 18th, I'm going to start breaking down the teams over unders. But when I do that, I might pick Philly to win the division. Oh, running into the Bills. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. The Bills are more of a run-heavy offense. I think that's a good thing for them. But and I think they are going to be a little more run-heavy. That's why they took a running back who's going to win that battle. I thought they were pretty sold on Singletary, to be perfectly honest. He really kind of stepped up towards the end of the year. I'm drawing a blank on their other running back out of Utah, 4th-round pick out of Utah, but he was a guy I really, really liked. It'll be interesting how they use those 3 running backs in Buffalo, but they need to have Josh Allen run the ball a lot less. By the way, good to see everybody in the chat this evening. I'm betting on everyone's team to win the Super Bowl. That is awesome. I think they did. I'm glad the Bills. Yeah, I am too. The over-under for his rushing yards, I think it's like 740 something. I would definitely take it. So I'm going to start my dark horses to win NFL MVP. And my number one dark horse is DK Metcalf. All right. And DK Metcalf is plus 25,000. Now, here's the drill. Last year, his first 2 years, he's gone up. Well, let me back up. In 2020, he had his best season. 83 catches, 1,303 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Last year, 75 catches, 967 yards, but he had 12 touchdowns. Here's the thing, and this is going to sound a little crazy. I think Seattle's going to be a run-heavy team. Okay, they drafted one Pride 40s boy out of Michigan State. They bring back I'm drawing blank. Carson. I'm drawing a blank here. Chris Carson, and then they also have I'm having a brain freeze of running back. Basically, they have a three-prong running attack here. I'm going to look it up real fast. It'll drive me nuts. So they got Rashad Penny, Kenneth Walker, and Chris Carson. Okay. I really think that they're going to go ahead and be a run-heavy team. So why would I have a run-heavy team have a wide receiver that is going to be MVP? Well, the reason why is because I really expect Drew Lock to win the quarterback battle. All right. And Drew Lock's a guy who really should have been starting quarterback for Denver. He's got some talent. And remember, Russell Wilson was banged up last year. I think that was a big reason DK Metcalf's production went down. Remember, he missed 3 games, and then he came back and he wasn't the same quarterback. All right. He really wasn't the same quarterback. He had a lot of problems throwing the ball. 17 games, 12 touchdowns. In order for DK Metcalf to win, he's not a guy who's going to have 125 or 130 or 140 catches. I think he's going to have a lot of 6-catch, 115-yard, 1-touchdown games. And if you add that up throughout the course of the season, it would be about 100 catches, 1,900 yards. I didn't do the math. But he'll have to have about 17, 18, maybe 20 touchdowns to get that MVP number. And I think that is possible. But his yards per catch, the first 2 seasons, his yard per catch was 15.5 and 15.7. Last year, it dropped to 12.9. In order for him to be MVP, he's going to have to increase that number, I think, to be about like 17, 18 yards per catch. He's not going to be a guy who gets a ton of receptions, but he can get a lot of yards. And then last year, 12 touchdowns. Keep in mind, Seattle's switching defensive schemes. So I think it's really important when you have a team that may have a questionable defense, a run-heavy offense, but they're going to go deep, and DK Metcalf is going to get some targets. Remember years ago when Randy Moss was in Minnesota, they ran the Randy ratio. You had to get like a certain percentage of plays. You had to throw the ball towards Randy Moss regardless of anything. And I can see Seattle doing something like that with DK Metcalf. And by the way, Drew Lock has some talent. Drew Lock has some talent. And even though this is going to be a run-heavy team, this is something I think that could really work out. It's a long shot. That's why I said it's a long shot. It's plus 25,000. So a $100 bet will win you $25,000. That's not bad. Jesse Pates don't want to play on the franchise tag this year. Last I seen about him, is he free? Currently, no, but he said he's not going to play, and there's talks about trading. Remember in the draft, they went ahead and they took I'm not going to insult you. I know you're a Michigan State guy, but they took the safety out of Michigan, drawing blank on his name, another name freeze. I think they want to have Bates in. Like I said, I'm drawing a blank on this guy. But I think that ultimately Bates is going to sign. All right. He's playing hardball. He wants big time bucks. I don't blame him. He had an interception in the Super Bowl, which you profited off of. So I think that what you're going to see is he's going to play, but he's holding out. I think it's going to work out and he'll stay in Cincinnati. But it could be something where you trade him for a couple picks. Remember that big deal with Jamal Adams? Seattle sent 2 number ones. You could get something like that for a team. It'll be interesting to see how that situation plays out. My personal prediction is that he's going to stay in Cincinnati. Is that regardless of whether it's Locke or Smith or possible True? Yes. I think Locke's going to win the battle, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And like I said, this is a dark horse candidate, but it doesn't matter who's going to play quarterback. I think that if you, like I said, this is not something that you want to bet your life savings on. This isn't a serious bet. Hey, look, you have a dark horse, an extra 20, 30, 40 bucks or whatever. You want to throw $100 and take a long shot. Plus 25,000 for $100 bet will win you 25,000. DK Metcalf, I think, is a solid dark horse candidate to win MVP. Yes, he does. Wilson throws a great deep ball. And I still think that his numbers are going to be sky high because I think it's going to be a heavy run balanced team, but I think they'll go deep quite a bit because what you want to do is that when you have a heavy run offense, you want to stretch the field. I doubt they trade Babe refuses. Yeah, I'm here for that. Hey, it's an interesting story. A lot of people feel like Cincinnati is just going to pick right back up, but it's a lot different when you have a 4th place schedule and 1st place schedule. And I'll talk about that in a couple months here. Stafford, yeah. And I could see them doing that with DK Metcalf. I could really see them doing that with DK Metcalf. And that's something that could work out. All right. I know one pride's on here. Yeah, Dax Hill is his name. But yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. I know you're not a Michigan guy, so that's how I play if he was on my team, man. That's why I think it's a dark horse. I'm not overly any college team. I'm more of a Clemson fan. I know you're not a Michigan guy. I thought you're more of a Michigan State guy. That's an interesting team to watch this year. I say the same thing every year. I'm going to watch more college football, but due to time constraints, I can't watch as much college as I really like. Dax Hill was the name I was trying to think of. Yeah. All right, next dark horse MVP candidate may surprise a lot of you, but like I said, these are dark horses. Plus 20,000 is Leonard Fournette. And the reason why I like Leonard Fournette is that with the coaching change in Tampa Bay, I think you're going to have a much more run-heavy team. All right, if you look at I'm oh God, another name freeze. I'm drawing a blank on the head coach's name right now. Drawing a complete blank. I'm having some bad name freezes here. Completely drew a blank. It'll come to me any second. All right. Anyway, I'm not going to hold up the show. Yeah, they do. Seriously, if they figure out the O-line, it wouldn't surprise me they go undefeated. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Anyway, I'm not going to hold the show up. I drew a blank on the coach's name, but when he was in New York, it was kind of a run-heavy team. I think they're going to be a lot more run-heavy in Tampa Bay. I know that everybody's going to talk about Tom Brady, and if this team does win, 12, 13, 14 games, Tom Brady's going to be the obvious candidate, but Leonard Fournette has always had a world of talent. His best season was in 2019, where he had 1,152 yards rushing. It was 4.3 yards a carry. Not great, but he had 76 receptions or 522 yards. He wasn't even close to an MVP candidate because he only had 3 touchdowns that year. But total yards from scrimmage is 1,674. This was in 15 games. I think last year for Tampa Bay, he wasn't a full-time starter. Ronald Jones is the guy that he was kind of a 1-2 punch. He's in Kansas City now. So in 13 games, he started in 13 games last year. He had 812 rushing, 454 rushing. 454 receiving. That's 1,266. And it's basically 100 yards a game. And even though he only started 13 games, he had 10 touchdowns. Remember, it was a 1-2 punch with Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is in Kansas City now. These numbers are going to skip up big time. Yeah, Bowles became the head coach. Leftwich say, no, you're 100% correct. You're 100%. I couldn't think Todd Bowles for whatever reason, but Bowles is more of a run-heavy coach, and even though he's a defensive guy and Leftwich is the offensive guy, I think you're going to see organizational change. I think that they're going to try to protect Brady more and throw less. I also think that you're going to have a team that's going to be more defensive-oriented, being that Bowles is the defensive guy. So I expect more of a run-heavy offense. And your number 2 running backs in Kansas City, Ronald Jones. So I really think that Leonard Fournette, this is, again, it's plus 20,000. It's plus 20,000. This is a guy, if he stays healthy, he's going to be the focal point of the offense more than Brady, I think. So even if he rushed for 2,000 yards, he could. And like I said, these are dark horse candidates, all right? Brady is plus 800. But you're going to have a team that's going to focus a lot more on the run. You're going to be more of a defensive-minded team. I really could see, again, this is a dark horse, all right? Plus 20,000. A $100 bet wins you $20,000. So essentially, it's a 200-to-1 bet. I mean, these are dark horses. These aren't favorites. If you want a favorite, Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Allen, take those guys. These are long shots. Leonard Fournette at plus 20,000 is a long shot, and I feel it's pretty good. I know you have it right. They made a choice after the NFL passed the rule. You need a black person offensive staff. I wonder if that had to do with it. There's all sorts of rumors going around about the Tampa Bay situation. Some are that Brady was not fond of being chewed out, being arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. Some thought Arians just wanted, the pressure. I mean, he's an older guy at head coach, so it's hard to say. Rodgers makes any wide receiver look good. Absolutely he does. He does. It'll be very interesting to see where he's at. I wouldn't argue with you on that. Slasher Adams didn't all that hot with Love throwing him the ball. No, he did not. Aaron Rodgers, I don't have that listed, but it's plus 10,000. I don't have that on my list. Only 2 people in the history of the NFL as defensive players won MVP. It's Alan Page and Lawrence Taylor. I don't think Aaron Donald. He's not on my list, but it's plus 10,000. Dan, I think I'm too rational, argumentative for this dark horse conversation. Well, these are dark horses, and these are just long shots. Logically, I wouldn't bet on an MVP, but some of these other bets I mentioned earlier, Jermaine Johnson, for example, I actually like the Breece Hall bet. I think it's like 740 something or better, but these are long shots. And if you look at the last couple of MVPs, these are pretty much, Rodgers, Jackson, Mahomes, Brady, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton. The only one that really came out of nowhere was in 2012. It was Adrian Peterson, and that came out of nowhere. So that's kind of what I'm getting at is if you have something like an Adrian Peterson type situation like in 2012. So, yeah. The quarterback is average at best. What about Jefferson in Minnesota? Well, I thought I had Jefferson listed. I was positive I had. Okay, no, I don't. Jefferson is at plus 15,000. Tim, I'm glad to see you. Yeah, Jefferson's 15,000. But he did not make my list. He did not make my list, even though he wants one. You want a real long shot horse? Golf, yeah, it could be great on a $10 bet. I didn't have that listed, but I hold on. Actually, I remember looking at golf. He didn't make my list. Here, let me. But I'll give you the golf number. Give you the golf number. I have the double authentication. It's a little irritating. I have to do like multiple steps. All right, let me see here. Golf. I actually remember really liking that golf number, to tell you the truth. But he's not listed as my dark horse. Let's see here. Where is it? $15,000. So a $10 bet would be 1,500. Yeah. Golf 1,500. He didn't make my list. But yeah. I don't even know who that is. At plus 15,000, I'm going to give you 4 possibilities here. I'm going to start off with Travis Kelce, and you're going to say, Travis Kelce, why would you have Travis Kelce? Well, the last year was the first time that the Chiefs' number 1 receiver, it was not Travis Kelce, it was actually Tyreek Hill. Well, Tyreek Hill is in Miami, and you have a bunch of different players that are going to play wide receiver, all right? The clear-cut number 1 guy is Travis Kelce, and over the last 4 years, 103, 97, 105, and 92. Now, in 2020, he had his best season. He had 1,416 receiving yards, all right? Last 4 years, 10, 5, 11, and 9 touchdowns. Now, me and Travis Kelce, it's kind of neat. We actually have the same birthday. So he'll be 33 on my birthday. I'm a little older than Travis Kelce, which is in October. So he's an older guy, but he is going to be the number 1 candidate. And the Chiefs are a pass-happy offense, and he is going to be the number 1 receiver. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. But it's an interesting conversation to have because you got somebody who's had a ton of production. You have a pass-happy offense. He's going to be the guy in the red zone. I'm not even thinking golf would be in any conversation this week. Yeah, you know what? These are all long shots. This is all just dark horse conversation, but I'm just throwing some names out there. And also, I'd like to hear what you think here. I have the list. I can pull it up at any time, or if you want to, you can download the Barstool app and check it out for yourself. But these are just some long shots I'm discussing. But bottom line, here's what I like about Kelce, okay? It's kind of hard because Mahomes is obviously the favorite, but you have number 1 target, pass-happy offense, a team that's probably going to do well. Another one at 15,000 that I really like is Davis Mills, and I've been talking about Davis Mills for a while, but they added Mechie. Now, I didn't really like the draft pick because I think that they should have got somebody who's more day 1 ready. However, he is an explosive player. You got Nico Johnson, got a ton of talent. Sat out the year before with COVID, 2nd round pick, young kid. You got Brandon Cooks, a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. You have a team with almost no expectations. So they don't have to win 13, 14 games. They go 10-7, and the defense is still kind of a work in progress. So you could have a bad defense combined with a team in a weak division. Mills puts up big numbers. He doesn't have to do the 12, 13, 14 wins. They can win 9 or 10 games, sneak into a wild card, and he might be in consideration for an MVP candidate. Plus 15,000, a $100 bet will win you 15,000. I don't hate it. Another player at plus 15,000 that may really surprise some people is Damian Harris. and they didn't re-sign him. He was a 3rd-round pick, so his contract's up at the end of this year. And Ramonde something Stevenson, the guy out of Oklahoma, and this guy's super talented, by the way. He did take away some carries last year, but here's the deal. A running back who has 929 yards in the Patriots offense doesn't sound like much, but he had 15 touchdowns. All right. Now, this is going to be a big year for him. All right. The Patriots added some weapons at the wide receiver position. Mac Jones is somebody who I also have listed, but 15 touchdowns in 17 games, that's not bad. So you have a possibility. Let's say he boosts that up. Let's say the Patriots win the NFC East and Damian Harris has something like 22 touchdowns. Is it realistic that he may get a chance? Absolutely. Again, this is plus 15,000. This is a complete dark horse candidate. Let's go cheat. Yeah. Melvin Gordon, I didn't touch base on this. Melvin Gordon signed with the Dolphins. However, Karlaftis, let's see how much day one ready he is. That's kind of a big deal. But again, when I start breaking down the teams in a couple of months from now, that's what we got. I share a birthday with me. Okay. Oh, Mo. Mo from Three Stooges and Paula Abdul and Zoe from every big time movie, Avatar, Guardians, etc. Ingram, not Gordon. So what did I get? Did I say Gordon? Okay, I'm sorry if I said Gordon. I messed up. Damian Harris, kind of a dark, like I said, a dark horse, but 15 touchdowns last year and sharing carries. If he's a full-time guy, gets 20 touchdowns, Patriots win the East. Why not? Why not? If it's not a quarterback, it could be a running back. Speaking of running back, you have Saquon Barkley at 15,000. As far as talent, I don't think there's a more athletically gifted running back in the NFL than Saquon Barkley. He just can't stay healthy. Now, Brian Dable's taken over, and you're saying, Dan, you have a pass-happy coach. Why would Saquon Barkley win MVP? Because if he stays healthy, I think he may catch 100 passes. And if he does stay healthy, he's going to have 100 passes, 100 receptions in a pass-heavy offense. Remember, they used the 7th overall pick on the massive Evan Neal. You have Andrew Thomas on the left side, who's a run grader. So if he does stay healthy, there's a very good chance he may do the 1,000. He may have 100 catches along with having 1,000 receiving yards. He's got to stay healthy. But if he stays healthy in a pass-heavy offense, that's something that he would actually excel in because he's a guy who plays really great in space. If you use him more in the receiving game than you do the running game, 1,000, he would be, second, third, fourth player to do it, something like that. I didn't look up the numbers, but Barkley, if he stays healthy, I think is an MVP candidate, plus 15,000. Why not? Like I said, $100 bet win you 15,000. That's good. Yeah, I did get the names mixed up. I apologize. Next dark horse candidate is Najee Harris at plus 10,000. A $100 bet will win you 10,000. Last year, 1,200 yards on the ground, 467 in the air. 10 touchdowns total, but he had 3.9 yards of carry, 6.3 yards of reception. Had 74 receptions, 307 carries. So, I mean, you have 381 touches. Now, keep in mind the offensive production. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going in order. I'm going from biggest dark horse to smallest dark horse. But, yeah, I mean, and that's your opinion. Some people may like the Leonard Fournette. Some people may like DK Metcalf. If you're a Broncos fan, Jerry Jeudy at plus 100,000. I mean, seriously, a $100 bet wins you $100,000. That's not, everybody has one. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the reason why I'm throwing out multiple names here. But Barkley's a good one. I like Najee Harris at plus 10,000. The offensive line is going to be better regardless of who wins the quarterback position. The quarterback position is going to be upgraded. I'm not insulting Ben Roethlisberger by saying he didn't have a good year last year. He really didn't. It was his last year in the NFL. He was a guy who was really banged up. He knew he was going to retire. So if Harris has about 400 touches again in an improved offensive line, pressure you can't. I mean, he faced a lot of 8 in a box type. Well, I'm saying 8 in a box, but you know what I'm talking about. You have a quarterback who can throw downfield no matter who it is. Improved offensive line. If he gets 400 touches again, he's definitely an MVP candidate. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, yeah, they did. And if they do it again this year, and that's definitely possible, I think he's MVP candidate plus 10,000. Who do you guys think is the most overhyped team this season that will likely fall on their face? Nobody is allowed to say Denver. Let's get okay. Let's go AFC and NFC. Let's start with NFC. Dallas. They lost in the first round of the playoffs, even though they won the division. It was a wild card. They lost on wild card round, didn't they? Yeah, they lost to San Francisco on wild card round. I think they got worse. I think today, right now, I would consider the Eagles the best team in the NFC East. I mean, the Cowboys might not even make the playoffs, but they're really hyped to be a Super Bowl caliber team. There's a few other teams in the NFC, but I'll just stick with Dallas. On the AFC, what about Cleveland? I mean, people are talking about them being a Super Bowl team. Now it looks like Watson may sit out 6 to 8 games. I mean, that could be a potential disaster. Nobody's talking about, Jarvis Landry. Oh, that's a big deal. It's a Pro Bowl number 1 wide receiver just gone, and you're just expecting Amari Cooper just to step in. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I mean, there's no guarantee Amari Cooper is just going to pick up the slack immediately, and the quarterback situation is kind of shaky. But the team I think that will really fall on their face will probably be Cincinnati. The reason why, as I said this many times, when you're a consistent loser and it's like, double-digit losses, big time wins, it usually bounces back down. Take a look at the San Francisco 49ers. They had the same exact thing. They went to the Super Bowl, lost in the Super Bowl. What did they do last year? The year right after Super Bowl, they won 6 games. This happened with the Chicago Bears. It was like 5 or 6 years, double-digit losses. They go 12-4. What happened the very next year? They dropped down to 8. It usually always happens this way, and I go with the history. Now, the difference between Cincinnati and a lot of these other teams, I think Cincinnati got significantly better. But, I mean, they're going from a 4th-place schedule to a 1st-place schedule. And nobody's really talking about how brutal that AFC North is. I mentioned Cleveland, but, I mean, Pittsburgh, I think, is going to be better. They were a playoff team last year. Baltimore, nobody's talking about Baltimore, but that's a really dangerous team. They have like 4 or 5 starters that were injured before the season started. They had a really good draft. Lamar Jackson's in a contract year. J.K. Dobbins, I didn't even bring him up, but, I mean, he's a guy I really, really like. So, yeah, I don't think teams are concerned with that. With Roethlisberger. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he just did not play well, so. LOLDG. Chargers, Raiders, Bengals, Dolphins. Oh God, I ain't even talk about the Dolphins. I mean, nobody, seriously, the Dolphins are one team. They could win 5 games. They could win 12 games. You have no idea what you're going to get. Chargers, a lot of people think that they're the favorite to win the AFC West. I haven't dove into divisional battles yet, but I think a lot of Chargers fans are going to be disappointed when they're a mediocre team. I've been saying this for a long time. I think the Raiders are a team that is be really overlooked. I think the Raiders are a team that could be really, really good. They improved all 3 levels on defense, and offensively, they got one of the best receivers in football. I think Derek Carr's pretty underrated, to be perfectly honest. But I mean, that's, hey, it's an open discussion. So at least if Watson suspended, the league already gifted them that beginning of the season schedule. I haven't had a chance to go over the schedules, and I'm going to go over that all the teams. In 2 months from now, when I start breaking down the teams, I'm going to do 3 things I like, 3 things I don't like. Then I'm going to break down the schedule. I'm going to advertise it as breaking down the schedule, but I'm also going to do like an over-under conversation. That way, if you're doing some sports betting, whether it's with Barstool or with Caesars. And then the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do a 101 video on how to bet on yearly totals and how to bet on individual games. And then It'll be in the next couple weeks. I don't have a timetable of when I'm going to release those videos. Basically, the way here's what I'm doing is that I'm a Caesars Diamond member. What that means is basically any Caesars property, which is basically if you're in Kansas City. Oh wait a minute, you're in Iowa. Okay, Horseshoe in Council Bluffs and the Harrah's in Iowa. Harrah's here in Kansas City. Basically, every Monday through Thursday, I can basically stay at any one of those hotels free of charge. I get a free room. So I'm taking advantage of it, and I'm doing some traveling. I went, I saw the Caesars property in February, right after the season. Went to Denver. I went to Council Bluffs this week. I'm going to go back to Council Bluffs, St. Louis, Chicago. Okay, you're in Kansas right now? Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with Overland Park, but that's where I'm at. But I could stay at any Caesars property, which, Harrah's part of that, Monday through Thursday free of charge. So I'm doing a lot of traveling. And one of the reasons I wanted to go to Iowa is I'm going to do all my sports betting. That's why I got the Barstool app. And that's why I started kind of looking at this and started looking at MVPs. But, I'm taking advantage of it right now. Another thing is that Barstool and Caesars have some differences of opinions. And I'm going to break that down when I start doing all those videos. So Amari Cooper is known to get injured in training camp. I mean, a lot of people feel like a lot of times you can't just replace players. A lot of times you can't just replace players. It'll be interesting to see if it happens. In Deshaun Watson, maybe it's not the best example, but another name freeze. Oh God. In Pittsburgh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe I forgot his name. I'm bad with names. This is why you always call the girl baby. This is why you always call it Mitchell Trubisky. Okay. Mitchell Trubisky is hosting all the players in his home, and they're doing drills. But is Sean Watson doing that? No, he's in court right now. And there's I'm on social media. They got Patrick Mahomes in training camp lifting weights and stuff. Then I see Deshaun Watson wearing a suit in court. Is he really going to be as ready as some other guys that are practicing? That's not a thing. Bengals had a weak SOS last season. Ravens had all kinds of injuries, and Baker. Another thing is that the Bengals were a 10-17. They had, I think, 2 or 3 games that went into overtime that favored them. I mean, what would have happened if they lost week 1 to Minnesota? Would that have changed everything? Would they have been just 9-8, or if that kind of snowballed things? So in that division, yeah. Chargers have been everybody loves the Chargers, man. People always have been picking the Chargers. That is awesome. Yeah, I've been to Des Moines, but I've never been to Cedar Rapids, and I went to Cedar Rapids last week. I had a really good time. Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons for the Browns to begin the season. That is not a difficult schedule. CMC, Bobby Hicks, I don't recognize you, man. Welcome to the show. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, CMC will win Comeback Player of the Year next year. He could. He's got to stay healthy. I think he's one of the favorites. There is a Comeback Player of the Year award on the app. I didn't really touch base on that, but he's definitely in the mix. The only thing preventing him from being MVP is just staying healthy. I didn't like when he changed his body. He did the same thing Reggie Bush did. He went from being 195 pounds to 220. And when Reggie Bush did that, he had one really good season. They couldn't stay healthy after that. And I think CMC is going to have the same problem. I don't see CMC able to stay healthy at 220, 225 pounds. I think he should have stayed at around 205. And Carolina should have got another running back, and they should have used him more as like a guy who's going to have 200 touches, but he wanted to be a 400 touch guy, and I don't think he'll be able to handle that. I've never been to Cedar Rapids, so I went there free of charge. I'm going back soon. I've been here. Okay, that's fine. Hey, Bobby, man, I'm just glad you're here, brother. I'm just glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. Or Derrick Henry. He is on my list. Derrick Henry is on my list. Next up is Mac Jones at plus 8,000. And I brought this up a couple times, But Mac Jones went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie. He got some weapons. Now, if the Patriots win the AFC East, I think there's a very good chance Mac Jones can win an MVP. Can win the MVP. It's plus 8,000. A $100 bet wins you $8,000. So a $20 bet. What was my math? 8,000 divided by 5 is what, 1,750? Or is it 1,500? 1,530 1,600. I'm sorry. $20 bet wins you 1,600. 80 to 1 odds for Mac Jones. And if the Patriots win that division, more than likely it's going to be Mac Jones. And I did mention Damian Harris at plus 15,000, but you never know. Mac Jones was a replacement for Brady, I thought. Well, yeah, Mac Jones. Did I say something different? But, I mean, bottom line, New England wins the AFC East. Mac Jones is probably going to win MVP. A lot of people may say, well, a New England quarterback. You never know. At plus 8,000, I actually really like the Mac Jones one. Funny thing about the Chargers, national media darlings, but no real fan base. Every home game is number. Yeah, it is. And it's kind of funny that the Rams and the Chargers are going to play a mutual home game. I think it's actually a home game for the Chargers. I have to double check the schedule, but I'm going to bring that up when I break down all these teams. But yeah. Just give us your best dark horse pick for all 30. If you would have asked me that before I set everything up, I could actually do that. But I wouldn't be able to do it right now. Just spur in a moment though. But Mac Jones at plus 8,000 is not bad. At plus 5,000, Derrick Henry could win comeback player of the year. One thing I don't like about Derrick Henry is that these big running backs, the amount of wear and tear will grate on you. It's really rare that you can have a 2,000-yard season, absorb a bunch of punishment, and come back to that form. If he is able to come back to that form, Roger Stafford's in Buffalo now, so that's a big part of their offensive line. Plus, I mean, a lot of teams may just say, hey, look, we're going to just load up. You don't have a legitimate number one wide receiver. That's a tough one. But he was a guy you can make a very strong case that Derrick Henry, before he got injured last year, he was the MVP. So plus 5,000. Another one that's plus 5,000 is Cooper Kupp. It's very rare that a receiver has that type of season and comes back with the same type of season. A lot of people thought he deserved MVP consideration last year. If he repeats that season again, I think there's a very good chance, but it's extremely rare that a guy repeats that season back-to-back years. I think teams are really going to kind of focus on taking away Kupp. It wouldn't surprise me if Allen Robinson ends up having a better year, but bottom line, plus 5,000, a $100 bet wins you $5,000. This was my MVP favorite for a large part of the season was Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I mean, he led the NFL. I think second place was like 500 yards. If he hits 2,000 this year, and the Colts go to the playoffs, that's definitely a good one. Two other candidates that are dark horses is Jameis Winston. Jarvis Landry is now at the Saints. You got Chris Olave. Michael Thomas, if he comes back. People forget how good Michael Thomas is, but you got some really good talent there with the Saints. They did lose some players on the defensive side of the ball, but if they dip a little bit, that means you're going to have more shootouts. He looked really good when he was healthy. He is coming back from injury. It looks like he'll be okay for training camp. Like I said, $100 bet wins you $5,000. Another quarterback is Kirk Cousins at plus 5,000. You have an offensive-minded coach in Minnesota. The defensive scheme's going to switch. I think in order for Minnesota to be successful, they're going to have to have they have to have the philosophy of, hey, we're going to put 30 on everybody and just try to make enough plays defensively. Under Mike Zimmer, they were more of a run-heavy team. We're going to win with defense. And then when the defense kind of fell apart. So now you have a coach who's an offensive-minded coach. If this has one of the worst defenses in the league, Kirk Cousins could put up monster numbers. Tim, you mentioned Justin Jefferson. if this team plays like I think they're going to play, and it's going to be high octane offense, mediocre defense, Cousins could have 5,040 touchdowns. If he leads them to the playoffs, that's a good one. But out of all the players that are plus 5,000, my number one player is Matt Ryan, who did win a MVP in 2016. I love Matt Ryan at plus 5,000. This is easily my number one dark horse. And I love Matt Ryan here because I think that Matt Ryan, you substitute Ryan for Wentz, they get to the playoffs. All right. I'm not 100% sure the Colts aren't the favorite to win the AFC South. You add Stephon Gilmore, you still got Jonathan Taylor. There's some talent in the receiving core. Alex Pierce, was it Jelani Jones, the tight end? There's a lot of things to like. And I think Frank Wright wants to have more of a pass-happy offense. He just kind of relied on Jonathan Taylor. This could be a situation where early in the year, teams stack up to stop Jonathan Taylor, and Matt Ryan just lets it go. Colts win the division. I think people love a comeback story. Out of all the dark horses, I love Matt Ryan. Plus 5,000. A $100 bet wins you $5,000. You got an extra $20. $20 on Matt Ryan to win MVP, win Jay Grant. You got a team who I think is possibly favored in the AFC South. That's debatable. He's got weapons. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's got a pass-happy coach. So, plus 5,000, the Cousins seems really kind of. Maybe I just have less faith in him. To me, him and Tannehill are similar. Okay, him and Tannehill are not at all similar. Tannehill was a guy who actually played wide receiver at Texas A&M for a year while the starting quarterback. He was actually a pretty good quarterback, but he wasn't NFL caliber quarterback. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I think he played wide receiver too in the NFL, but Tannehill is athletic, and Tannehill is a good arm, but I never believed in Tannehill. I do believe in Cousins. Cousins, a guy, one thing about Cousins and Tannehill, that's night and day. Cousins is a natural passer. I've never seen him really come through in big-time situations. He's never really come through in the clutch. His biggest moment is when he had that big comeback against Tampa Bay when he was with Washington. He had that, you like that? Remember, you like that? He was all jacked up. But, I mean, look at the weapons he has. I mean, seriously, 1-2 punch in Jefferson and Thielen, maybe as good as anybody. You got Dalvin Cook. Two really young, talented players on that offensive line. Plus, you have an offensive line. The one thing about Cousins, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember exactly what he had in Washington, but in Minnesota, he had a defensive-minded coach. Now he has an offensive-minded coach. That's why I like Cousins at plus 5,000. Now, keep in mind, $10 wins you 500. I mean, an offensive-minded coach, a defense that's on the fritz, tons of weapons, a good offensive line, and a mediocre defense. Okay, yeah, yes, okay, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Love to see it. Chargers remind me of that kid in school that nobody hated, but everyone tolerated just because he was. I could be wrong. These are dark horses, but like I said, the one I like more than any one of these is Matt Ryan. That's my number one dark horse at plus 5,000. Just a player. No, I get it. Out of all of them that are plus 5,000, you have Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, Jameis Winston, Kirk Cousins, and Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's easily my number one. Out of all these I mentioned, Matt Ryan's my number one. I think I mentioned. No, actually I don't. Okay. Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson are plus 2,200. Now, Lamar Jackson contract year. He wants that Mahomes type of money. He wants $50 million a year. It's contract year. I've seen lots of players come through in contract year. A bunch of players coming back. Kyler Murray's another guy. There was rumors that he wasn't going to come to camp. He was going to sit out. I remember Corey when he was on the show, he's like, "Oh, he'll take a hometown discount." That's a bunch of bullshit. He's not taking a hometown discount. He wants big time money, and so you got two players that are trying to get big time money, plenty of weapons, playoff caliber teams. Both these guys, the dual threat thing. Both these guys at plus 2,200. I'll be honest with you. I expect these 2,200 numbers to drop. So if you like either one of these guys to be an MVP candidate, I would bet on them sooner than later. However, I always recommend betting as late as you can because you never know. You may get a freak injury in camp. Bottom line, if both these guys stay healthy, they are legitimate MVP candidates. And a plus 2,200, I think these are really generous numbers. I'm going to borrow money from you to place the bet. Seriously, until I looked at some of these rookie bets, I didn't know that Jermaine Johnson until just now was at 4. I was looking up Aiden Hutchinson, which I'd be honest, I like that bet too. And finally, and I mentioned both these guys already, Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson, technically maybe not dark horses, but plus 1,500. These are 15-1 odds to win MVP. If Denver wins the AFC West, I think they're going to be more of a run-heavy team, but a lot of times it's getting the wins. If Denver's a 14-3 team and Russell Wilson has a couple of comeback from behind victories or a couple of key moments or a couple of big games, he doesn't have to have 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. He's never really been that type of quarterback, but definitely a possibility, but he has to get through that brutal AFC West. Stafford at plus 1,500, I think is really solid. I think that this is going to be a team that people are going to be gunning for, tons of primetime games, finally getting over that hump. Maybe a sense of relief has got off his shoulder and he plays better. It could be that he liked playing with the chip on his shoulder. It's hard to say. But bottom line, if the Rams are the number one team in the NFC, I think he's definitely an MVP candidate. So I think the new head coach coming from the McVay system will unlock Cousins' similar system you ran in Washington under Shammy, Vikings. Yeah, I agree 100%. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Plus, when I'm looking at MVP, you're looking at big numbers. Well, if you have a bad defense, which I kind of think Minnesota will have this year, I think the defense had some problems under a defensive-minded coach. Well, you have a brand new head coach who's an offensive-minded guy, and they're switching from a 4-3 to a 3-4 defense. I think this could be potential disaster for the Vikings, but offensively, Darashaw, who's a rookie left tackle, he's got a ton of potential. In this offense, he could be really, really good. Bradbury, he was the first-round pick 2 years ago. Very talented center player. I absolutely love. So they got 2 potential big-time studs on that offensive line. Dalvin Cook is a monster. Justin Jefferson, I didn't even include him, but, he's a guy a lot of people think could be an MVP candidate. Thielen played, I think, in like 10 games, had 13 touchdowns. People are completely writing him off. But you have a combination of a team, bad defense, for them to go ahead and be an MVP, for Cousins to hit the MVP conversation, you have to take team to the playoffs. So I don't expect the defense to morph back into a top 10 defense. When Atlanta went to the Super Bowl and Matt Ryan won MVP, that defense really wasn't that good. Matt Ryan had everything it took to be an MVP. You had all sorts of weapons galore, and he had a mediocre defense. That's why I think Kirk Cousins is interesting. Now, even though the defense is decent in Indianapolis, I think it's going to be more of a pass-happy offense. Where I think in Minnesota they'll lean on Cook as long as he's healthy. No, it's seriously. There was talk that Aaron Donald wanted to retire, and they said if everybody comes back and then Von Miller left, OBJ left. I mean, it's not, I don't, right now, I think the two top teams in the NFC are Tampa Bay and the Rams, but I thought Tampa Bay was a better team last year. They just laid an egg. Remember they got behind, it was like 27-3. And then it was 24-3, and then they came back to tie it up. And Leonard Fournette, if he just takes a knee at the 1 and eats up a little more clock, then it goes to a coin flip. So that's another thing. So I don't think it's unpopular. I as of today, as of right now, I'd say Tampa Bay would be my number 1 team, but the Rams are number 2. The schedule's brutal. The NFC West, I think the Seahawks may surprise people. Arizona, I mean, yeah, they have Hopkins out early, but he's going to come back. In San Francisco, I could see San Francisco. I mean, hey, they went to an NFC Championship game last year. So the old bad defense in equals great. Oh, help Mahomes get the MVP, but hasn't helped since. I think one thing that kind of hurt. Well, I know last year, the slow start. And then the defense, when the team started getting going, the defense really helped out. Also, people touched base on the high interceptions. I know at least 8 interceptions that Mahomes threw were bounced off receivers' hands. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how teams react to Mahomes this year. But Mahomes and Brady, they're the number 2 team, or number 2 players. They're tied at both 800 to be MVP. Mahomes is definitely an MVP candidate. And the defense, some people say it's going to be kind of shaky early on. It'll be interesting to see. So, no, I didn't touch on Carr, and I should have. And that's a good one, because I do think that Derek Carr has, the first 3 weeks of the season, he had over 1,200 passing yards and was my MVP. Remember, he had that big win against the Ravens on Monday night. I forget the second win of the season, but I should have touched base on Carr. I didn't. But the one thing I do think is that they're going to be kind of a run-heavy offense. I don't think he's going to put up like 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. And a lot of people think like he's going to put up big numbers like that. I think the Raiders are going to be more of a run-heavy team. But no, you're right. You're 100% right. I should have touched base on Carr, because I think that they're the number 1 team to fear in the AFC West for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not a lot of people say it's Chargers. I think it's the Raiders. I would love nothing more than the Rams fell off hard. They still get that number 1 pick. So no, I don't think Carr is a dark horse, though. I'd be honest, I probably shouldn't have mentioned him, but he didn't make my list. When Donald and Ramsey fall, they're going to fall hard. Donald's going to be over 30 this year. You could make a strong case that he's one of the greatest defensive linemen of all time. And bottom line, you have somebody who's one of the greatest defensive linemen of all time. For the last 8 years, he's been playing at crazy high level, and sooner or later it's going to fall off. I think Ramsey fell a little bit last year. Would he be going into this season my number 1 corner? Sure. But these 2 guys, one of these 2 guys gets hurt, this defense looks completely different. Once you get that ring, you are a little less hungry, truth. That's what I'm kind of wondering, man. I'm kind of wondering that. I think it's a big thing. I really do. Big Chief Sean. Man. Dude, I've been traveling because I'm taking from now till I start doing my 32 breakdown videos. I'm going to start on July 18th. But don't forget, man, we got to hit like a county fair, and we're going to eat a bunch of fried ass food. All right, both of us are going to eat fried food. All right, we're going to do Twinkies, Oreos. We're still doing this, man. Even though I've been traveling. And you got my number. If you didn't figure out the thumbnails, if you haven't figured out thumbnails, hit me up. I think there's one reason the Chiefs got taller. Well, another one thing about MVS, and I thought they overpaid big time for him, but apparently he didn't have one single drop last year, and that was something the Chiefs were really frustrated about was the interceptions off receivers' hands, and that's one thing they kind of focused on. So yeah. There's Sean. What's good? I love this, man. By the way, we're gonna I'm gonna try to have you guys on. If you guys hit me up, we can do we could break. I was going to do a special Chiefs show, and everybody would love to see a show just about Kansas City. If you want to, we can do one of those. We can do a live stream, all Chiefs. I predict OBJ goes to the Saints. Landry, Honey Badger, OBJ back in New Orleans. That's his LSU. I actually don't think You know what, Denver Gator? You never know, but I don't think he will because you got Olave. You have Michael Thomas. You have Landry. You really don't need a fourth. They got some other receivers. I think receiver with Landry, I think they're loaded at wide receiver. So, I mean, but if OBJ goes there, I think you have to send somebody packing. And I mean, they gave up a lot for Olave, a lot to get Olave. And I'm not going to go into detail of that, but remember, the Eagles have the Saints' #1 pick in 2023. So, but if he does, I mean, let me do it real fast here because they got some other receivers besides the ones I just mentioned. And I'm not going to bring up the numbers here, but Traquan Smith, Callaway, Lil Jordan Humphrey. These guys aren't terrible players. So, I mean, oh, God, they got Kevin White. Remember, Kevin White was the #7 pick overall in the draft. So, I mean, they got some players. So, I don't think OBJ goes there. But if he does, they'll have to move one of those guys. And it could be that they want some extra draft picks so they don't have the #1 pick. But, oh, dude, yeah. Me and Big Chief Sean said that we're going to do this. And I've been traveling, and I haven't really communicated everything that I'm doing because it's been kind of my personal life, which nobody cares about. But it's been a little hectic, but I'm doing a lot of traveling. I'm going back to Cedar Rapids. I'm also going to hit STL, maybe Chicago. Originally, that was on the plan, but I might just do STL. And that's even kind of on the fence. But, yeah, I'm doing a lot of traveling, so I haven't had a chance. Me and Big Chief Sean, we were going to get together. We're going to eat a bunch of fried foods. We're going to put the video. We were going to live stream it on Big Chief Sean's channel, which I'm trying to promote a lot more of. But between now and July, I've been taking the opportunity to travel, and then, like I said, I downloaded the Barstool app. I'm kind of looking at both apps because whichever numbers are best, and I'm going to do some videos 101 on just how to do sports betting. But I'm taking a look at the Barstool apps. I'm taking a look at Caesar's app, and I'm taking a look at which one has the better numbers. Like, for example, Detroit is one I know for a fact. Barstool has the over-under at 6.5 wins. Caesars has it at 6. So let's say I'm going to bet over for Detroit over 6 wins. Well, I'm taking Caesars because it's 6, not 6.5. If I want to do under, I'm going with Barstool because I went under 6.5. And that's something that's really important. And then I always recommend if you do some sports betting, go to Vegas. Kelly in Vegas, it's actually cool. Now she's too big, but several years ago, she sent me the link to Vegas Insider. And when I do this video, I'll put the link in the description. It has every casino's bets. So you can just click on this link. But Kelly in Vegas sent that to me. She actually, we communicated. We weren't friends, but she sent me some messages on Twitter. Now she's so big you can't message her, but I sent her some messages. She sent me some messages back. For those of you who don't know, Kelly in Vegas went to school at K-State, and then she took a job as a waitress or bartender. I'm sorry, at a sports bar. She used her looks, very attractive girl, and became a spokesperson for Wager Talk, and now she's a spokesperson for Barstool. Now, keep in mind, she does everything. My football knowledge, I'll beat her on picks any day of the week for NFL, but she does everything. And her brand that's a success story. Somebody who just picks up from the Midwest, goes to Vegas, makes a name for themselves. I love the story. I think it's amazing. I think she's amazing. But my football knowledge will beat her football knowledge. I can outpick her any day of the week. Big fan of Kelly in Vegas. She does everything. I specialize in just football. So don't make it sound like I'm hating on Kelly in Vegas. I am not. We are doing this. If you want to come along, Stevie, we can put it on Big Chief Sean's show. A lot of those were on Tyreek. A lot of them were on Tyreek. Yeah, I remember when they lost to the Chargers and there was 4 turnovers. I remember one just writing Tyreek Holmes. I remember telling my dad, this is how you lose a game, and that's what happened. So Denver Gator. I love the fact that Denver fans and Chiefs fans can get along, man. This is awesome. OBJ to the pack, that it could. And I didn't touch base on Bradbury too much, but Bradbury going to the Eagles was huge. So other than freezing, sorry, I'm back. Had to prep the grill, making some. Oh hell yeah, dude! Hey man, dude, I'll eat ribs like a motherfucker, man. If we were close, man, I'd be like, man, Alex, take some extra here. I know I'm about 170. I'm kind of skinny, man. I can eat some ribs, man. I could eat some ribs, man. I love some ribs, man. Dude, it's going to be awesome, man. We're going to put it on your show. I'm going to put a link in my description. And then I also really want to get kind of everybody together. I want to get you and Stevie. We'll have a Chiefs show here. I need you guys to confirm that we can do a Friday. For the next couple of months, I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling. So probably only Friday is available for a while. Stevie, a long back, Big Chief was a guest. The whole episode was talking about deep fried foods, butter, Oreos, cola, everything fried. Yeah. I'm glad you liked it, Denver Gator, man. This is a true story. I offered to buy Denver Gator lunch, and he said, your video sucked so bad, you can take that food and stick it up your you know what. That was a true story. Denver Gator told me that. So, but next time I go out to Denver, I'm hitting you up. I'm buying you lunch. So just gotta keep it under $20-$25, none of this like, lobster at the strip club thing or what have you. But yeah. Anyways, I'm tired of seeing Mills ranked below Trey Lance. I get Lance in a better situation, but who ranks Trey Lance above Mills? I don't know anybody who would. If you think Lance is better than Mills based off of last year, I'd say you're delusional. The way the situation is in San Francisco is I think there's a very good chance Garoppolo may wrestle that quarterback position away. Lance, when he got a chance to play, he looked terrible. And I think his position, there's no guarantee that Lance is going to be the starter. I don't care what they're saying. If you look at what he did last year, he did not look like he was ready to play in the NFL at all. The upside is immense. But Mills is definitely a starting caliber quarterback. Trey Lance isn't. So whoever's saying that, let me know, man. I mean, because yeah. There's no question Mills is a better quarterback as of right now. I'm going to try. Okay. Last year, I just signed up for YouTube TV right before the season started. I'm going to watch some more. Preseason this year because there's several teams I'm going to take a look at in preseason. So I'm going to sign up a lot more, a lot sooner. If Hurts does good, man, the 2023 draft will be crazy for the Eagles. I'm thinking Will Anderson Jr. Well, if Hurts does good and the Saints, you don't know what you're going to get out of the Saints, but more than likely you're probably going to get 2 picks below 20. So you'd have to do some sort of package deal. I think here's kind of what you're looking at is that if Hurts does good, it wouldn't surprise me if you do the same thing again and you trade back and you try to get 2 picks for 2024. I don't think that. I think that what you may do is just try to trade down again, because if Hurts does good, you're probably not going to get a high enough pick. Will Anderson may go number 1. I think he's that good, but more than likely it's going to be a quarterback, and there's going to be several quarterbacks available. It could be a situation where Will Anderson drops in the draft, but I think that he'll be. If Hurts does good, forget getting an opportunity. And the only way you're going to get Will Anderson is if the Eagles have 7 or less wins. That's my opinion. But when I lived in Mississippi, I got fried Oreos. I've never had one. I have no idea how we got started on it, because I know we didn't plan it. Me and Big, it came out of nowhere. I've never had one. I don't know if Big Chief Sean, correct me. Did you say you've had it before? But I've never had one. I want to try it, so that's where it started. But yeah. Alex, I agree. Mills should be higher only because we have seen him. Lance has all the tools to be better. He's got a lot of tools, but we don't know. When I've seen Trey Lance play, he looked horrid. I mean, he looked like the NFL was too fast and too complex, and that's kind of what you expect from a player from a small school. Mills is NFL ready. Lance isn't. So whoever says that, I'd be curious. Let me know. I'm not too far behind. Drop a comment. Who's saying that? Slasher, if Hurts does well, it'll be a lot of capital to get Anderson. I think he could go top 5. It depends on how many quarterbacks go, because it could be a situation where there'll probably be like a good left tackle. That running back out of Texas is going in the first round. I don't know how high he's going to go, but dude, seriously, if you want to, I'll send you my address. And I can Cash App you or something. We'll work something out. But dude, if you message me on Twitter, I'll message you back, man. Dude, hell yeah. I'll eat some ribs, man. I love ribs, man. Hate to bring it to you, Slasher. Anderson will be a top 3 pick. You guys have to give up a lot, but that pick is insane for the Eagles. Well, if Hurts does well, I think the Saints, I really, don't get me wrong, Winston could, even though Winston got hurt and missed the second half of the season, the Saints were in position for a they were in a position to get to the playoffs. So I really don't think that you're going to get, if Hurts plays well, you're probably going to get 2 picks below 20. Something like Green Bay. Green Bay had 22 and 28. That's kind of what I think you're going to end up getting. The way the Eagles have been operating, I really think they'll end up trading down and trying to take advantage of a team that wants to trade up. So, but yeah. A lot of folks are grading Lance on his promise on his actual play. Some national guys saying Lance looks better because he looked – oh, really? I was not aware of this. Now, for those of you who don't know, when the season's over, I cancel TV. I haven't been watching a lot of the national news. I play around on my phone. I have the NFL Network and ESPN. I look at every single day. Usually I'm in the bathroom when I watch it. But I look at that every single day, but I don't watch the NFL Network or ESPN because I cancel my TV with YouTube TV. This year, I'm going to sign up for YouTube TV probably at the beginning of August because I want to watch a lot of preseason football. I have a lot of questions, and then I'm probably going to head to Iowa a week before the season, and I'll do a video when I'm in I'll do a video of my picks. I may not do it while I'm in Iowa, and then I'll show you all my over-unders. But you guys will probably know the over-under, my yearly over-unders and my week 1 picks ahead of time. And I shared that with you guys last week. There's several week 1 games I really like. I might even do a parlay, even though I'm usually pretty much against it. Denver Gator is lying here. He's not already suspended, but it sounds like he's going to be. But he hasn't been suspended yet. Denver, I'd say top 5 next year could be a really QB. I think top 5 is fair. Now, keep in mind, he has to be healthy. He has to be healthy. He has to do good at the combine. He can't lay an egg at the combine. A lot of things have to happen. But I would, as of right now, I'd say top 5, top 10. And I say this every year. I'm going to try to watch more college football. I'm going to have my YouTube TV up and going in early August, probably after the Hall of Fame game. I probably won't watch the Hall of Fame game. I think it's August 4th, but after the Hall of Fame game, because I do want to watch all 3 of the Chiefs preseason games. And there's a lot of other teams. Detroit, I do want to check out Detroit in preseason. Hopefully, I'll be able to check out all the Hard Knocks episodes. So, like, it really matters how he looks in practice, playing the fields where it matters. I'm shocked that people are I honestly don't think there's a guarantee Lance is going to start. I don't care what they say. Dude, that is awesome, man. I do not think we're going to get Clowney. And I'll be honest, I don't want Clowney. What I would want would be a guy who's cheaper. And the reason why is I think the plan is to get Karlaftis on the field as much as possible. It wouldn't surprise me if he plays the first half of the first preseason game and Frank Clark doesn't even look at the field. So that's kind of what I think. But I think the plan is to get Karlaftis up to speed and maybe a day 1 starter opposite Frank Clark. If anything, I think that we may try to sign a defensive tackle. Even though we re-signed Nnamdi and we still got Kalen Sanders, it wouldn't surprise me if we get another defensive tackle. But I don't think that we're going to try to use Chris Jones on the outside. I think we're going to just put Karlaftis in there and say just learn on the fly. And a player like that, I think could be he may struggle early, but then at the end of the season, he may be a really good player. I would not like Clowney, but I would love that Justin Houston would come back. Justin Houston and Karlaftis have a very similar type of body. And I think a guy like Justin Houston, remember Justin Houston had a beef with John Dorsey. But Andy Reid's always been a pretty player-friendly coach, even though nobody's talked about Justin Houston coming back. Justin Houston's one of my all-time favorite players. So the Colts are talking with Nick. Yeah, that would be a good signing. Definitely a good signing. It started because we both haven't had fried. You haven't had fried. Okay. And I've never had, okay, by the way, the only thing I've had fried in one of those deep fryers is fish. I've never had Oreos, bananas, Twinkies, none of that shit. And now I'm getting hungry, by the way. My stomach is rumbling. I'm getting hungry. So we're going to wrap up because now I'm hungry. We're going to wrap up. My stomach actually is rumbling now. But yeah. Big Chief, we are going to do this, and I apologize because I should have stayed more in touch with you. But I've never had an opportunity to travel, and I've been, like I said, earlier this month, I went to Denver. I went to Council Bluffs, which is on the Iowa-Nebraska border. I'm going back there soon, and I'm also going to I probably hit STL maybe in June, but that's on me. But yes, we are going to do some fried foods this summer. Gulfport, I didn't know that because I knew I don't want to get into your personal business, but you were going to move back to Florida. I don't know if you are still doing that. So fried Twinkies or Twinkies, and Sean, I'm going to speak for Big Chief Sean. He's at Twinkie. If not, I'm sending you a box of Twinkies, Jackson. I didn't know that, man. You know what? I'm pretty sure I've never been to Mississippi. So I was down in Ocean Springs for a few weeks during the Katrina. Dude, that's awesome, man. Not the Katrina, but yeah. Oh shoot. Okay. I've never had a strawberry Twinkie. I've actually never even heard of a strawberry Twinkie, but that sounds really good. I didn't know. I've never heard of one. I haven't had a Twinkie in a very, very long time. But yeah, dude, we are doing some fried foods. I don't think the Saints will be that good. No more Peyton and Winston is Hugh ? This year. I don't know, because I really like Dennis Allen. He's a defensive-minded coach. I thought he got a bad deal with the Raiders, but he's been waiting in the wings there with the Saints. Surprisingly, didn't get more interviews. But I don't think that a new head coach in the Saints – I'm more worried about the Alvin Kamara situation, which nobody's talking about. But Alvin Kamara, for those of you who don't know, like put some dude in the hospital in Vegas, and then they've been postponing the court case. But does he do jail time is still in question. What kind of suspension is he going to get from the NFL still in question. Nobody's really been talking about this, and there's bigger stories in the NFL. But what's the situation with Alvin Kamara? Winston is a question mark, but he's going to be in camp and he is going to be healthy. And then they also finally just said Winston's going to be a starting quarterback. There was like some wiggle room for a while. And then they're taking Taysom Hill and just, hey, you're going to be a tight end. You're going to be utility. No more of this quarterback bullshit. But there are some question marks about the Saints. I think the Saints are a team to be careful about, because I think Jarvis Landry, and then don't forget Michael Thomas coming back. People forget how good Michael Thomas is. If he comes back healthy, him and Jarvis Landry, that's a good duo. And then Chris Olave has, if nothing else, he's got some deep speed. The Saints are one of those teams that I'm kind of worried about, but I think Atlanta, I'll go into more detail as time goes on, but Atlanta might be my pick to have the number 1 overall draft. I don't know what you're going to get about Carolina. So I think the one thing about the Saints is that they play in, even though you have Tampa Bay, who I think is the number 1 team in the NFC, I would say that the Saints are actually in a weak division. And they've also had Tampa Bay's number in the regular season, not in the postseason, but in the regular season, they've been able to beat them. So Sean, D4 hasn't been suspended yet. Rumor it's going to be suspended 6 to 8 games. This comes after league officials talked about Watts. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too, and that's going to affect like the Baker Mayfield situation. So, and that's something that we're going to follow here on this show. I've never had fried. I've never had a fried Twinkie. Neither is Big Chief Sean. We're going to get together. If you're close by, if you're in the Kansas City area, we can get together. Big Chief Sean, we'll do a video. All of us can do the fried food together. I haven't had a chance to look for any county fairs. There's usually, now's the time that all of them are starting. So we're in a group chat. We'll get together, and Big Chief Sean's going to post it on his show. I don't like them fried, but you never know. I've never had one. You may love them. I just disproved the fat kids love Twinkies. I think Winston in New Orleans is going to be good, but it ain't going to be good enough, as folks are saying. A head coach who hasn't been a good so far at head coach, and he's defensive minded as well. Well, the Saints have had a good defense. So, yeah. Luke just went live. You know what? I'm surprised to hear that, to be perfectly honest with you, Funk. And God, you're making me – okay, I like the player. I don't like him at 46 because you got him at 66. That you get – that might – like I don't like this. I like the player. I don't like where you took him at, because you could have got him at 66. So – dude, I'm always willing to try like different food. I mean, I'm not going to eat something crazy, but I mean, like, fried Oreos, fried Twinkies, I'll do that all day. I would think it's better to be more. I am going to be cautious about the Saints when I go. Oh God, nose is itching. It's not cocaine. When I start breaking down the teams, I am going to be cautious, but they're a team that could be like really, really good if everything pans out. So my nose is itching. Wharton was like number 10 overall in DT pass rush win, according to ESPN. I still think that they could add somebody to defensive tackle with Chris Jones. They could also add a defensive end. I would rather have Justin Houston than Clowney, but that's just me. Fried gator, it's good. I haven't had it. Deep fried pizza snacks are just No, I've never had one of those fried cheese curds. Now, by the way, I am getting really hungry. I didn't eat. No, I haven't. And that's okay. So we haven't been to any of the KC fairs. I don't know about Big Chief Sean and Stevie, but I haven't been to any in a while. A couple of years ago, there's this guy, Marco, and by the way, if you want to join the Facebook group, you're more than welcome to. But he had a thing called Tomahawk Chalk, and he got a bunch of us together, and it was me and Big Chief Sean were the first two to show up. And I wasn't sure what anybody looked like. One guy I had on the phone, and he's like, "Yeah, we're going to meet here at this time." So I show up on time. Nobody's there. So the first person I see is Big Chief Sean. He's got a 91 jersey, and I'm like, "Are you?" I'm somebody else. He's like, "No, but I'm here for this. I'm Big Chief Sean." And we just, you ever just meet somebody and you just instantly get along? That's what me and Big Chief Sean were. It's like boom, we just kind of clicked. There was one guy who was with, I think, Arrowhead Pride he was formerly with Arrowhead Pride. He's with Arrowhead Guys now, and then he stopped doing it. I'm not going to go into detail. I unfollowed him because he was posting some stuff I didn't approve of, and I'm just going to stop it at that. Nothing against the guy. If he contacted me, it'd be great to talk to him. But anyway. Don't leave it at that. But anyway, we just met, got along, kind of stayed in touch, through social media, and we got to get together again. So I was always a Swiss cake. You guys are teasing me now because I'm hungry as hell, man. Has anyone other than me seen the cookies and cream flavored Oreos? Yeah, I was highly confused by them. Even seen the thing. I actually have seen them. I've seen the mint ones are good. The peanut butter ones are good. I haven't tried it yet, but I love cookies and cream ice cream. So you ain't living in life till you live in the South, had a crawfish boil with a friend. You know what? I'm down for some crawfish. I grew up. I say grew up when my first 10 years of my life, I lived in Baltimore, and steamed crabs are the best. Baltimore crab cakes is the world's greatest food. And steamed crabs, it's different in the Midwest, but like steamed crabs, oh yeah, I love some seafood. And for holidays, my mom makes a bunch of shrimp, layers it in Old Bay. Shrimp in Old Bay is amazing. Never had crawfish, but I definitely would eat some crawfish. So pizza, favorite pizza. Steve, my mind broke when I saw him. I really couldn't understand something like that would get through screenings. Talking about the Swiss or the fried cheese curds. I'm behind on the comments here. I had pig intestines in Argentina. I don't know if I would do that, but the whole team in charge of the Oreos. We're doing this, man. We are doing this, man. The Lions didn't have pick number 60. I know. And DeMarvin Leal's a very similar player, went in the late 50s. DeMarvin Leal went in the third round. I think. I don't have that up. So I get it. I get it. But bottom line, okay. Well, okay. Here's the drill. I know you didn't have a pick at 66, but you took a guy who at least 20 picks too early. And I like the player. Don't get me wrong. But I am surprised Luke G was negative about the draft. But he's right. It wasn't a good draft. But the one thing I will say is that Jameson Williams is not in a boot. So that's something I'm really going to pay attention to Hard Knocks. Fried gator tastes a lot like chicken strips or bread. I've never had fried gator, but I really do want some. Yeah, it was a good time, man. It was a really good time. And if you want to join the Tomahawk Talk Chop, it's called Tomahawk Talk, and it's all Chiefs. There's some stupid shit in that forum, though. A lot of these guys, I don't even think they understand football at all. Like anybody who's in this chat would probably be like the top 3 or 4 smartest people in Tomahawk Talk. It's me and Big Chief Sean, and I don't think Big Chief Sean participates, but I mean, there's some idiots out there. Multiple posts in Tomahawk Talk had the Chiefs legitimately, seriously trading up for the number 1 pick in the draft. with Jacksonville. So yeah. I hope Baker is asked to stay during the while. I think he is. He agrees and refuses to play, has a hamstring strain, sits on the bench and gives. Oh, God. Denver Gator, man. You got the gold comment, man. Steamed crabs is Dan in the hot tub with the bass. Crawfish boil with Bubba is the only way to do it, man. I've been to Texas, and I used to have a job as a truck driver. I drove through Alabama, and if you think people are nuts about NFL football, talk to somebody in the South about college football. I had a waitress almost kick my ass because I told her she was an Alabama fan. She stopped in her truck. She goes, "I'm an Auburn fan." I thought she was going to kill me. They take that stuff seriously in the South, but I just drove through and I stopped. It was like a Denny's or something at like 2 a.m. or something. And it was funny. Like one of the guys that was like working the front desk, he's like, "Yeah, I'm from North Carolina, and I don't get how these people are." But yeah. I seriously, I've never been to New Orleans, and it's on my bucket list. The best pulled pork is in the South. A lot of people in Kansas City would argue about that, but I think Kansas City has some really damn good barbecue, but I haven't tried the pulled pork in the South. I think as a general rule of thumb, the Southern pulled pork is the best. So, yeah. Holidays, mine makes a crab dip that, oh, dude. Oh, man. I love it. Dude. Now I'm really hungry. Some crab dip sounds fantastic. And my aunt makes a pumpkin cheesecake that'll make you drop to your knee. I love some pumpkin cheese. Okay, I don't like pumpkin pie. And cheesecake, it's just too filling. But some pumpkin cheesecake, oh, fucking hell yeah. Damn, you can tell. This is a great group, man. And like I said, if you join the Tomahawk Talk Facebook group, they'll welcome you in, but there's some stupid shit in there. There's some real stupid shit. And I bring it up because that's how me and Big Chief Sean met, is through that group. So I'll always be grateful. And Marco, who is the creator, owner of the group and everything. Really nice guy, but man, God, the football knowledge of that group is very low. As a matter of fact, it made ESPN. I actually responded to the guy. There was a guy on Twitter who blasted MVS for staying in touch with some of his Packers fans, and it actually made like something on ESPN. So Chiefs fans are kind of, man. You actually avoid the talk. There's some bad Chiefs there, and it's true with every fan base. It's every fan base, just not Kansas City. But when that made like national news. So, in my opinion, Jameson will play week 1. It won't start, probably see around 12 snap. Kids will have had the schedule, and it's 5-7 month injury that happened in the beginning of January. That is really, really big news for the Lions, because if he can just get a handful of snaps, he doesn't have to run. He doesn't have to know the full offense. All right. They just need to get him on the field. But if you can get him slowly into the offense early, I think that would be a really big thing. I mean, he really doesn't need to run a full route tree. I mean, if I'm the Lions, I just have him going deep. I use him on a bubble screen, and that would be about it. That would be about it. Those would be like the 2 plays. And then you'd use him as a decoy when probably as a decoy a couple times. And it helps open up, the running game, because I really think that TJ Hawkinson has to have a big year. It wouldn't surprise me if DeAndre Swift is the leading receiver on the team. And I think he should be. He's a guy, I would have loved him in Kansas City. So I do not care for Baker Mayfield as a player. I don't want my team trading for him, but I fully think the Browns screwed him over. A lot of people feel that way. I think that, okay, let me take the opposite approach. The Browns offered him a fair deal at the beginning of the season. They offered him 3-year, $93 million. Fair deal. He turned it down, and he bet on himself, and he lost. He didn't perform up to standards. He was a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. And in order to move up because they took a step back last year, and they signed Clowney. They had Malik McDowell really turned it up. Myles Garrett, arguably the best defensive end in football. Some young talent at the linebacker position, and then the secondary's got some players. They made some big investments in free agency. Baker didn't get it done. If he would have signed that 3-year, $93 million deal, it's case closed. But because he bet on himself, he did lose. So that's kind of the opposite. But bottom line, now with Deshaun Watson's, that contract's locked. I mean, you gave up a lot. You said you did your research. It doesn't look like they did the research now. So I can argue both sides, but I think Cleveland, in retrospect, is saying maybe you should have stuck with Baker. But by the way, I'm not a huge Baker fan, but I will say this: those commercials were just freaking awesome. Those commercials were really, really good. Those commercials were awesome. College football, yeah. Oh, dude. Seriously, it is nuts. If you're not familiar with college football in the South, it is just insane. It is really insane. Never tell a Texas A&M fan they're a Texas fan because they will cut the chatter and turn you. It's like being a UT Dallas person at the U of H. It's just it was actually funny the first time I went to Texas. I went to Dallas, and that's kind of a long story. Oh God, it's the high school. I think it's Matthew Stafford went, and a bunch of NFL players. If I told you the name, you would know it. But anyway, it's like the predominant high school football program, and I said, "Well, man, that'd be cool. Maybe we can go to a game." And they're like, you got to be like on a 20-year waiting list to get in. I mean, it was like, it was just like the dumbest comment in the whole world, because high school football in Texas, it's not like you can just walk up, game day and, stroll in and sit on the 50-yard line. You can do that here, but in Texas, you can't do that. So, yeah. Baker is an example of why you need people in your life telling you the truth. Here's the thing. I liked what Baker did. I like Baker banked on himself, but he lost. And he didn't really handle it very well either. He should have just said, hey, I'm going to compete. I'm going to do the best I can. And, if they don't want me here, they don't want me here. But instead, he kind of, didn't really behave properly. So, I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But I did like the fact that he banked on himself, but he lost. That whole situation is going to be something to watch. And then, like, for betting on Cleveland, I think you can still bet on the Browns. I didn't look at it yet, but I'm going to dive into that when, a couple months from now. So no, they cannot. And this is something that could really sink the Cleveland Browns, but let's look at the flip side. The Houston Texans, Davis Mills, if he ends up being a franchise quarterback plus all those picks, I mean, the last time a trade like this happened, the Dallas Cowboys became a dynasty. Nobody really saw it coming. And I actually thought Cincinnati, before they lost the Super Bowl, I thought that might be a dynasty in the making. Reminded me a lot of the 49ers of the 80s, but now that they lost, who's going to be the team of the 20s? And the Texans, why not? You got a quarterback. You have a ton of draft capital. You have some talent. I mean, that's kind of how a dynasty is built, is that you have a team that's bad that all of a sudden becomes really, really good. That's how the Patriots were. The Patriots, people forget how terrible they were. And then Bill Belichick, his contract was, or actually his job was on the line, because he went, I think, 5-11 year one. He started 0-2, and then Brady comes in and he wins Super Bowl, and now he's greatest coach of all time. The 90s, the Cowboys 1-15. 2 years later, is it 2 or 3 years later, goes to the Super Bowl. Niners in the 80s, they were terrible. Steelers in the 70s, they were terrible. Packers were terrible before Lombardi got there. And all dynasty starts off usually with a really bad team. You know, as a Chiefs fan, I thought that there was a very good chance, but I mean, now we're kind of in uncharted territory. Bills fans think it's their time, but you know, you got to get past Kansas City. If you want to say the Rams, I mean, they have so much turnover and you know, not a lot of players staying, you know. But I mean, who's going to be the team of the 20s? Hopefully, everybody here hopes it's the Chiefs. So I'm joking. So the Chiefs can move on from Mahomes 2 years before the Browns can move on from Watson. They actually, yeah, you're right. You're right. They aren't moving Baker because they need, Baker. Now there's a good chance that they may just keep Baker. That's a weird situation. If I'm seriously Baker, I wouldn't, you know, the way he's handled it so far. When Baker just says, "No, I'm good. I'm going to sit out. Trade me or get rid of me." And let me see here. I'm going to look this up. I'm using ESPN here and ESPN because I think they got a backup quarterback in Cleveland. Yeah, they got Jacoby Brissett. So that they can deal with losing Baker. Jacoby Brissett started in the NFL. He's not a bad quarterback. Cleveland research is the equivalent of me watching Quantum Leap saying, "I understand." That's a good show, by the way. I like that show. He never looked like he had what, you know. I actually predicted that Mason Rudolph would be better than Baker Mayfield. I like Mason. I loved Mason Rudolph coming out of college. I actually thought he was going to be much better than Baker Mayfield, and he wasn't. But he had all the tools at Oklahoma State. Didn't work out, but I was never really high on Baker, you know. And then he actually really impressed me, you know, the first 2 years and what he did. And then once Stefanski took over, his game kind of elevated. But I thought his ceiling was top 12. You know, I mean, he in the NFL, if you don't have a top 10 quarterback, you're trying to get a top 10 quarterback. And that's what Cleveland did. And I think they looked at Baker Mayfield and they said, I think the very best you can be is a top 12 quarterback, which he is. I also think that this doesn't happen if he signs that 3-year, $93 million contract. They just build the team around him. Because they did sign Brissett, and I thought they had a veteran. I just looked it up right now, but it wouldn't surprise me if Baker Mayfield is gone sometime here soon. So, game manager, yeah, pretty much. And by the way, the Cleveland Browns goes through Nick Chubb. This is a run-heavy team. This isn't people think like Deshaun Watson's going to come in, throw for 5,000 yards and 45 touchdowns. That's not the way this offense is built. This is a heavy run offense. They want Deshaun Watson to run on bootlegs. They want him to be a game manager. They want that completion percentage to be close to 70%. They're not trying to throw the ball 50, 60 times. This is a run-heavy team that wants to improve on the defense. So. My local high school, Clements and Doles, always have a huge rivalry, and their games always sell out from the alumni to games. You know, it's actually funny. I was thinking about talking about this because a lot of they're basically the two best cities for recruiting high school talents are Dallas and Houston. And a lot of people will tell you that, you know, Dallas is number one or Houston. I think Houston, and you can clarify this for me. Houston's the number one city in the United States for recruiting high school talent. And like in a game like this, you'll probably have 10 to 15 players that are going to play D1 football. Where I'm at, Isaiah Simmons, he went to high school like 10 minutes from here. Darren Sproles went to that same high school, and that high school has produced some NFL talent. But if you go to one of their games, there might be like 2-3 players top that play D1 football. But those two schools, even though I've never heard of either one of them, they probably have between like 10, maybe 15 players are going to play D1. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, that's it. He's not a top 10 quarterback. I'd say top 12 best. Texans going to sack D4 5 times to get I haven't even looked at the schedule. I don't even know. I know they play. I just don't know when. And like I said, 2 months from now, I'm going to break down the schedules when I do the videos. Last year, I just broke down the over-unders. I'm going to do more focusing on the schedule this year, but I am going to do the over-unders, and I'm going to predict all 32 teams, the over or the under for the win total, and if I'm going to bet on the team, and if I'm not going to bet on the team. I already have I have one team in particular that is my number one team to bet on, but you have to wait a while. All right. It's been almost 2 hours, and I am now officially very hungry. I've not eaten since lunch, and all we did was talk about food, which is awesome, by the way. Guys, listen, don't forget, give me a thumbs up. It'd really help me out if you drop a comment. The algorithm really helps my channel grow. So, guys, I'm going to end it here. Guys, don't forget, give me a thumbs up. Drop a comment below. It would really help me out. It'd mean the world. And I'll see everybody back next Friday.